Welcome back to Deloitte's year-end update for private enterprises webcast. I'm Jonathan Hupka. I'm a senior manager in our assurance practice here in Toronto, and will be presenting this segment on advanced analytics and data visualization tools. Before we begin, a few reminders that our comments on this webcast represent our personal views and don't constitute official interpretive guidance from Deloitte. Before taking any action on any of these issues, it is always a good idea to check with a qualified advisor. Please note that Deloitte will not be issuing professional development certificates for attending this webcast. We encourage you to check with your provincial institute or order regarding potential continuing professional development credits. Now let's get started. In today's world, various emerging technologies, including the likes of robotic process automation, in-memory computing, and blockchain, are disrupting the way in which we, the finance function, execute our responsibilities. Many of these technological advancements require significant investment and entail long pilot, testing, and implementation phases, whereas advanced analytics and data visualization tools are proving to be the opposite. They are proving to be a cost-effective, quick to implement, and relatively impactful foray into these advancements. Today, we are going to spend some time exploring private sector trends in advanced analytics and data visualization usage, explore levels of maturities across companies that have implemented these tools, and arm you with an overview of steps to consider as you contemplate your journey in this space. Let's begin by diving into the trends. The pace and complexity of business is ever increasing, and finding new areas of growth, efficiency, or competitiveness means ensuring that the right people have the right access to the right information at the right time to make the right decisions. In attempting to meet this objective through the use of advanced analytics and visualization tools, we have observed 3 levels of maturity or sophistication noted on this slide. At the beginner's level, we are seeing companies use these tools first and foremost as a monitoring mechanism, attempting to pick up on details in historical data. By definition, data management is the development and execution of architectures, policies, practices, and procedures that properly manage the collection, quality, standardization, integration, and aggregation of data across the enterprises. In essence, providing a single source of the truth for financial data. For private companies, this has proven to be somewhat of table stakes in this modern era, and does not necessarily require the use of analytic or visualization tools in order to simply monitor. However, for those that are experiencing the drivers noted, specifically increasing the volume, variety, and velocity of information sources, it is increasingly worth investigating and piloting these types of tools. As you move up the maturation scale, companies have been able to shift the focus from monitoring to detection. This level, business intelligence, involves querying, reporting, and alerts that can answer various questions, including what happened, how many, how often, where exactly is the problem, and what actions are needed. For those that have adopted early and are already utilizing these tools, this is where we would typically see them, or where their maturation scale would be. Current drivers for those moving up into this maturity level include interactive visualization tools and other technologies that provide a better user interface, quicker access, and exploration for end users. The need to make sense of big data from mobile, social cloud, and other information sources, and technology such as data discovery, SaaS, open source, and enabling better BI. Finally, the most mature evolved businesses utilizing these tools have tapped into their essence and spirit and are able to leverage them to not only monitor or detect, but also anticipate. At this stage, skills, technologies, applications, and methods for collecting, analyzing, and visualizing data real-time are used to reveal insights that help companies build future state strategies, reduce costs, understand their customers, maximize the potential in their workforce, combat fraud, and many other applications. The key driver at this level is the increasing economic pressure to gain efficiencies in operations, supply chain, and hence cost, while transforming financial data into readily consumable information for end users and those that sit outside finance. Now, regardless of where your company lands on the maturity scale, the overall benefits of analytic and visualization tools are clear. Users are able to comprehend information quickly, identify relationships and patterns, pinpoint emerging trends, interact directly with your data through advanced drill-down capabilities, and communicate the story in a consumable manner, which may not always be readily available for those that sit outside of finance. For those on the call that are new to these tools or only starting to think of how their business might apply analytic or visualization tools for the business, and therefore sitting off the maturity scale we just walked through, the questions you are likely asking are, where do I get started? What are some general examples of these tools in use? And what does the vendor landscape look like? So let's first work through how you might get started on our 5 key steps. The first step is creating the vision. And when we say creating a vision, we're not only focused on data analytics and visualization tools, but the IT landscape in general. What IT-related tools are there that are going to raise the game of finance and support you as the business evolves in this modern era? Second step, empowering the end user. When we want to empower the end user, we want to rely on the ultimate users of data to define what it is they want to see and how. What does the touch and feel look like, and what level of detail do you want to be able to drill down into? This will guide you in identifying the use cases for your business. Thirdly, automate the operational. Narrow the list and identify candidates, whether that be processes, management reports, or areas within the finance function that would be candidates for adoption. At the outset, keep the scope narrow, the team small, and the risk low. For example, you do not want to be implementing or significantly changing any reports as you move into year-end. The fourth step, adopt a continuous improvement mindset. This is very important, especially as you begin your journey, as the pace of change related to technology advancements is mind-boggling. It is important to address the issues that are currently faced by the business, but equally important to do as best you can to predict future changes to the business in order to tackle expected future issues. Final and fifth step is adapt governance to the modern landscape. Such tools as visualization and analytic tools introduce a layer of risk if the appropriate governance structure around single source of the truth and data feeds is not in place. Apply lessons learned to successive efforts as you start to pilot and tackle your use cases. Now, while number one on this list is often the most appropriate starting point, the remainder do not in any way have to be sequential, and in reality may happen in parallel. So I encourage you to understand each of these steps in a little more detail and try to work through them at the pace that is most appropriate for your business. Now, coming out of steps in 2 and 3 of the list that I just worked through, empowering the end user and automating the operational, you will likely have a good idea of candidates for adoption and where you might be able to apply these tools. But some broad-based use cases that we have been worked with clients on include moving away from large Excel PDFs for management reporting and using user-friendly dashboards with dynamic drill-down capabilities that enable the end user to look into trends and data differences that they want to understand more fully. This is very important as often those outside of finance don't have a strong understanding of financial literacy, and therefore the Excel spreadsheets do not help support them in their drill down and understanding, whereas the visualization and analytic tools provide them with a much better user interface. Another use case that we have seen was investigating outliers and trends in employee expenses to identify possible fraudulent requests or highlight vendor relationships that could be investigated. As an example of this, we have found a client that used their employee expense data to identify vendor relationships where they were spending significant amount of money with restaurants that could have been leveraged in order to have some vendor discounts. Now, with the key steps in place, the use cases in hand, the final step is understanding the vendors in this space and what differentiates each tool from one another. To do that, we have referenced the Gartner Magic Quadrant for analytics and BI platforms. For those of you that are unfamiliar with Gartner, they are a global research firm that provides insights, advice, and rankings of tools for leaders in IT, finance, and other functions across the world. As you start to set your path, take your time to review their Magic Quadrant and supporting insights and complete your investigation to the tool that is right for you. While some might be at the top end of the scale, the tool might not provide you with the user interface or the analytic tools required of your business or the use cases that you have identified. With that, we have now discussed the private sector trends in advanced analytics and data visualization usage, explored the various levels of maturities across companies that have implemented these tools, and finally, armed you with an overview of steps to consider as you contemplate your journey in this space. I highly encourage you to complete your investigation, understand where these tools might be helpful to you, your business, and the finance function as a whole. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed our session.